Ladies and gentlemen, just of the interwebs out there, Sebastian Envy, strongest style, cinephile, and Superman and Lois. Let's geek about it for a scant few minutes because this episode seemed to me to be about just the whole cliched saying of the road to hell is paved with good intentions and just people wanting to do good for the people that they care about and just kind of screwing things up. As I said before the season started, we were going to get a look at the Lanes and kind of what makes them tick. We were going to kind of dig into some of their history and their issues with each other, find out why this new version of Lucy Lane, post-crisis Lucy Lane, and Lois have their issues. And we find out that their mother left when they were both very young, so Lois just had a very negative opinion of her from that point on. See that Lucy and Lois's relationship is fractured. The dad apparently doesn't really know everything that's going on with his daughter. He tries to just be that good, loving sort of parent, and he says that Lois is stronger than Lucy. Lucy needs a delicate touch, as he put it. And we find out that Lucy, through a flashback in the opening of this episode, is just bound and determined to go off with this cult. And this woman, Allie, and her inverse method of finding yourself, whatever that means. And we find out that Lois maybe steered the narrative of her story a little bit. And I have a bachelor's degree in journalism. I was a reporter for over a decade. I understand at times you get certain stories and you have we don't take a formal oath, hand on a Bible, hand to God, or whatever, to kind of uphold journalistic principles, stuff like that. It's just understood that when you become a journalist, you get your degree in journalism, you have that code of ethics that you follow to the letter. That's why you have journalists willing to go to prison for sources. And I was never put in that position, thankfully, but I know full well if that was going to happen, where I put out a story and it made some people mad, if they came after me for my sources and threatened me with fines or imprisonment, or I was prepared to do that, to go through that, to not give up my sources, and to stick close, to hold true to those ethics and that vow that I took to be a journalist and to subscribe to truth and factual reporting. But admittedly enough, you do get those times and those stories that they just reach you and touch you in such a way where you may feel that pull to kind of maybe not include this quote, or kind of cut this quote off here. That kind of shapes the narrative a little bit. I know plenty of people who've done a lot of that. I like to think, as I look back on the hundreds of stories that I wrote, thousands of stories that I wrote in my time, that I never did that. But who knows, somebody of a different set of eyes or different background or whatever might look at my stories and think that I did that. But here we have Lois basically kind of admitting and getting caught on tape, because her sister used a spy cam and broadcast it to the whole crazy cult meeting, that Lois did that. And Lois didn't exactly deny it, so it kind of puts her, it just calls into credibility every other story that she wrote, every other story that she will write, and that's on tape. And it might, Lucy's saying, hey, stay out of our way, or this will come out. So Lois says, what do you do when somebody that you try to help doesn't want your help? And that's kind of where they're at now. Unfortunately, Lois's assistant gets caught up in it, and now she's going to be bamboozled by this cult lady and turned against Lois as well. You have Superman, who is trying to deal with the whole Bizarro thing, and John Henry gets caught up in it and hurt, and his suit is like 10% function, and he still swoops into battle to try to help out his friend and to do the right thing. And he ends up getting just pulped, basically, by Bizarro, put in the hospital. Nat's mad. She's going to be mad at Superman. She's like, you're Superman, you're supposed to protect him. So we'll see kind of how things go with that. Are they going to repair the suit? Is she going to put on the suit eventually? Remains to be seen how that goes. And I kind of wondered in the last video if Lana was going to, I felt that the storyline for her was going to be her winning the election and then her struggling to be true to herself while also getting faced with the political machine and how it wants to just grind you up and turn you into somebody else, somebody different from who you were when you started your political journey. And sooner than I thought, they're facing just the kind of what the political machine does. We find out that mayor and maybe some of his people or whatever were asking questions, digging into the past of Lana's family, because they're going to get pulled in, they're going to get used to find dirt on, to throw dirt on Lana to make her look bad, lose votes, so the mayor can win the election. The incumbent mayor can win the election. We find out that they're digging into Sarah's suicide attempt incident, and then we find out later in the episode that while Kyle is sober at this point, of course he wasn't, and apparently, which I don't think Lana knows, he was messing around with this bartender chick when, during his drunk days or whatever. And I'm guessing he went there to try to tell her, hey, this dude might come to talk to you about stuff, don't say anything, which we know that's going to, of course, blow up in his face. So it'll be interesting to see how the Cushings are faced with this and how they overcome it. Do they stick together as a family? Remains to be seen. You have Jordan, speaking of Sarah Cushing, as she prepares for her quinceañera, he uses his powers in a store, stops him shoplifting, it's stupid, it gets caught on camera, he calls up Sam Lane, and Sam takes care of it, but then he tells Jordan, hey, you gotta be smarter about this. Jordan's like, I wanna be able to help. Again, road to hell paved with good intentions. Jordan wants to help someone he cares about. He cares about his dad, wants to be able to help because he's got powers. And he asks Sam to train him, so I'm kind of wondering how that's gonna go, because Sam said, hey, keep it between us, because not like that secret's gonna blow up in both their faces. But remains to be seen kind of how that's going to go, because a kind of a superpowered person kind of under the tutelage of Sam Lane, I don't know how that's going to go as far as how it's going to shape his view and how he wants to use his powers. Speaking of powers, we have John finally, huffing the ex-kryptonite and kind of showing out on the football field. You see Nat kind of notices something is off with him, so I'm kind of wondering if she's going to be the first one to notice that, hey, he's taking something. Should probably do something about it. We haven't seen the negative side effects yet. We don't know how long a puff of it lasts. I guess we'll find out as things go. But he shows out on the football field and impresses the coach. He kind of gets pushed into it by his girlfriend or whatever, who was apparently sniffed stuff as well. So I'm kind of wondering how it's going to go, if the dude, the other kid, is going to dime John out, or end up dropping the dime on his chick, who's then going to take John down. It's just, I see this, just his football career ending in flames, and that's going to be something. Road to hell's paved with good intentions. John had a good intention of getting his, illegal means, but he had the good intention of trying to get his starting spot back, which is going to just go down in flames. I imagine he's going to lose football, and then that's going to be a crisis for him, because he's going to have to face who am I? What can I do if I don't have football and I don't have powers? Because that's going to come up. So who am I in life? I think that'll be a good dramatic turn for him. There's story potential there, and I'm curious to see if that's where they go. As I said also in the previous video, we knew that the DOD men, the Supermen of America, were going to get wrecked when they went up with Bizarro. And sure enough, they got wrecked. So I'm kind of curious to see the next episode and just what Anderson has to say. How exactly he's going to blame Superman, because he will. And we saw Tag run off with the amulet, so I'm kind of wondering what the amulet is. How does that tie into Clark and Bizarro? How does it connect them? We saw when Bizarro showed up at the farm earlier in the episode that they had some sort of effect where it's almost like he was absorbing Clark or something. So it remains to be seen kind of just what their connection is, what the amulet has to do with it, and where we go from here. Again, does he stay Bizarro, or does he just get further distorted and mutated or whatever into an actual Doomsday, or is Doomsday just totally out the window and we're just on Bizarro? Remains to be seen. All in all, it was a pretty good, fun episode. A lot to unpack from it, but again, this was just an episode full of people trying to do their best for the people that they care about, and it just blows up in their faces. And again, it goes back to just my praise of the writers and the showrunner for giving Superman problems that he cannot punch his way out of. Love that. And just love, again, these characters for a comic book show, I know, just feel real. And the stuff that they go through, the evolutionary paths that they're on, just feel legit. And I'm just kind of wondering how things are going to go. remains to be seen, but I'm here for all of it. Anyway, those are some of my thoughts on it, scattered as they often are. What do you guys out there think? Let me know in the comments below. Follow me on social media. Talk to me there. Talk to me here. Till next time, let us geek.